Lag BaOmer is this coming Sunday, and I find it to be an ingenious holiday. It's like somewhere upstairs in the holiday establishment department, some angel was thinking,
hey, you know what would be funny? If we somehow got the Jewish nation to get all excited and celebrate cutting their hair. Wouldn't that be a riot? Oh, Gabriel, I thought of a much better idea than your crank calls.
I mean, is there any other nation in the world that gets so excited about being able to cut their hair? Welcome to the Cabo Jewish Center's video blog, Torah portion of Emor. So this coming Sunday is the holiday of Lag BaOmer, commemorating the passing of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Talmudic sage who revealed Jewish mysticism to the world some 1900 years ago. It also celebrates the ending of a terrible plague that killed 24,000 of Rabbi Shimon's peers. In Chabad, Lag BaOmer is always about education of children. Parades and large gatherings of Jewish pride for children have always been part of the way to celebrate this day. The theme of education this week is quite interesting, because it just so happens to be that in this week's Torah portion of Emor, there is also a directive to educate children. Are you serious? You mean it talks about becoming a doctor or a lawyer? No, not that kind of education. It speaks about bringing up children. Our Torah portion of Emor begins where God commands Moses to teach the Kohanim, the priests serving in the tabernacle and later on in the temple in Jerusalem, about the special restrictions that apply to them. As people who dedicate their lives to serving God on behalf of the nation, the priests have certain restrictions to who they can marry and how far they must remain from ritual impurities. In the opening verse, God tells Moses, "Say to the priests, the children of Aaron, and tell them." Notice the redundancy? Say to the priests, children of Aaron, and tell them? I mean, it feels like me when I always fail at leaving a voicemail. Hi Steve, it's me, it's Benny. I'm just calling you, well, of course you know that. Here I am leaving a message. Anywho, I wanted to let you know that I'm trying to get a hold of you. Again, of course it's kind of obvious. Just call me back when you get a chance. You know, I wanted to talk to you. Well, of course. Bye. As you know, the Torah never writes anything extra, and everything has a reason. The commentaries therefore learn out from these extra words, the children of Aaron, and tell them, that God is indicating to Moses not just to teach the grown-up priests, but also to include their children and the young ones, educating them to the higher standard that they need to live by. Despite the children being so small and immature, the Torah still charges us to pay close attention to their education and positive growth. But why does it choose this particular theme of laws for the priests and their purity when telling us to educate our children? Isn't priestly purity a far-fetched spiritual idea that only applies to a small elite group within the greater Jewish nation? Couldn't the Torah have chosen to tell us about education in a more mainstream commandment? Like maybe the command for children to listen to their parents when they say something, or not to slouch when they're eating celery, or maybe not coloring on freshly painted living room walls. Am I taking this too personal? But you get what I'm saying. Why is it this theme of priestly laws that is specifically chosen in charging us with educating children? In today's progressive world, the struggle of education is a universal one. Everybody seems to have a different opinion on how to maximize the training of today's youth. Unfortunately, in the dust of all the discussions and debates, the ones who seem to lose out the most are the children themselves. Many people nowadays believe that when instilling character traits and values to children, we need to stick to the basics. Don't teach them anything too fancy. They're young and immature. Better to give them the basic fundamentals, and then when they're older, they'll be able to make their own mature and educated decision with regard to higher standards of living. In other words, in order to allow children their God-given free choice, the higher standards that God himself asks of us are conveniently left out of the picture. The main focus of their education then is just about being, like a nice guy. The Torah, however, gives a different approach altogether. It specifically uses those elite laws that apply only to the priests in reminding us about guiding our own kids. What the Torah is telling us is don't underestimate the potential of children and their ability to grasp the highest standards of living. Okay, little boys and girls, let's learn our numbers. This is number 1. 1 nose. This is number 2. 2 eyes. Very good, Joey. This is number 3. 3 intellectual faculties for the divine image. Number 4. 4 sublime supernal worlds emanating from God's infinite. No, the Torah wants you to educate your children to have the best value in life. Don't be afraid. Let them know that there's a God. Spirituality exists, that their tiny act of goodness and kindness affects the entire world for the better, and therefore God expects of them to continuously grow and serve Him. But this doesn't only apply to the practical education of children. It even relates to the child found within each and every individual. Child within. Who does he think he is? We all have a grown-up within our psyche, the part of us that knows what's right and what's wrong, and has the responsibility to educate and train the rest of the body in actually living a higher standard of life. Then there's the part of us that is always eager to learn and become better, the child within. That part of us deserves to receive the best education possible. The lesson in education that the Torah gives us is don't settle for the lower standard of life. Demand of yourself and those under your influence to live the fullest, most meaningful life possible, serving God and bringing His divine presence down into this world in the fullest, most meaningful way possible. Shabbat Shalom, and have a wonderful week.
Sichu